All right, all right, all right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Thursday evening Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's had an awesome day. Let's dive in. So as always, let's turn off all distractions, prepare your minds and your bodies to engage as you guys always do. And for the courtesy of everybody on the call, please ensure that your mic is muted if you're not actively asking a question or making a comment. All right. So had a pretty eventful day today. So we're going to take a look at the fundamentals and then we'll dive into the charts. All right. So let me drop this down. All right, just to make sure I'm good, if you can hear me okay, and if you can see my trading economic screen, please drop me a 1 in the chat. Awesome, awesome. So, headline here, U.S. GDP rebounds in Q3. U.S. economy grew an annualized 2.6% on the quarter, right? In the 3 months to September, more than the market expectation of 2.4. Biggest positive contributor to the GDP was the net trade as imports fell and exports sharply grew. All right, so GDP was up for the dollar for the United States, so that bodes well for the dollar. So that was a big headline there. We also had news coming out of the ECB, interest rate hikes, right? ECB raised the key rate by 75 basis points during the October meeting, following a similar move in September, bringing the borrowing cost to its highest since early 2009 as it battles high inflation and a looming recession. The central bank, right, they raised the rates. The decision came in line with forecast. The central bank also expects to raise rates further, but will base future increases on the evolving inflation and economy, right? And it'll be on a meeting-to-meeting basis. Okay, so President Lagarde was very direct when she said she won't be giving any forward guidance, right? And the decisions that they make going forward will be data dependent, right? She's stuck on those terms, okay? But they did make some adjustments to some of the tools that they're using when it comes to propping up the economy. She also stated, Benny mentioned this morning and yesterday, I believe, if they talk about quantitative tightening, right, then the conversation could get interesting. Well, she stayed away from that quantitative tightening conversation for now. What she did state was that they will be looking at the balance sheet and looking to reduce that potentially. They'll be having those conversations in their next meeting. So didn't go down that line just yet. So overall, they came in where the market thought they would, which was already priced in. And the conversation was neutral to dovish, right? Because she didn't give any forward guidance, and she said their decisions going forward, even though they do plan to continue to increase interest rates, will be based on the data, and it will be meeting by meeting. They won't give any sort of forward guidance on what those interest rates will look like because they don't have that planned out. So you saw the markets respond to that conversation pretty sharply, okay? But in line with some of the things that we've been looking at. So we'll take a look at those euros and see where they fell and see where they currently sit. All right. So that is that. And NASDAQ futures fall as tech rout continues. Amazon added pressure, came in with disappointing results. So you got your indices moving in line with, right, the overall tone and the strength of the dollar currently. I did read an article, however, that stated from a dollar perspective that investors are still have a positive tone, even though GDP rebounded. They have a feeling, or they're hoping that the Fed chooses to slow down or change their pace. So we could see tomorrow the indices kind of get a kickback into the positive, and the dollar potentially push to the downside and more of a retracement. We'll see how that goes, but that was an article that I read that came out of Bloomberg. So we'll see if that does occur for the dollar. We'll take a look at the DXY as well, see where that sits, and we'll go from there. Good evening, everybody that just joined us. Get you all access to the mic. Cool deal. So, any questions on the data that was released today? No? All right. I'll take silence as a no. Over to the Forex calendar real quick. Right, you see those numbers that came. Here we go. Numbers that came in here. Right, you did have core durable good orders come in slightly below, in the advanced GDP price index come in a little bit below as well. But that advanced GDP quarter over quarter, which is the primary number, came in above expectation. Okay, later on tonight we still have at some point Bank of Japan monetary policy and policy statement coming out as well. So we'll see if there's an impact to the yens. There isn't an expected change from them. They haven't changed their tone regarding where they stand and what their plans are. And we don't expect that to occur now. So that's for the yen. Tomorrow we have Canadian dollar GDP, right? And then core PCE price index month over month for the United States, and then pending home sales as well. So a lighter day tomorrow, but still some news that could potentially move the market. Okay, so later on we'll see before we drop off if the Bank of Japan has come to the mic. If not, we'll see. You guys can take a look at it in the morning and see what happens. Okay, so what I want to do as we get ready to wrap up the week is, if you guys have any pairs, I'm going to start with the pairs that you guys have. If you guys have any pairs you want me to take a look at, drop those into the chat and we'll start there. And then we'll wrap up the session with a few pairs that I have my eyes on. All right. So take a minute, drop any pairs that you have your eyes on, want me to take a look at, and drop those in the chat for me. Aussie Swiss. I got you, Brandy. EU, GBP.
Ryan, can I ask a question?
Talk to me.
I know you can't really make any recommendations and we have to really do our own footwork and study, but would there be easier pairs as a newbie to kind of be a little bit more, stable? I know the market is volatile when it changes, but would you have any recommendations?
No, I wouldn't say one pair is easier or harder to trade than another, right?
Okay.
Some have a higher ATR, so they have a larger moves in a day. But it doesn't make it easier or more difficult to trade. What I would say is you could start with one of the dollar pairs, right? Since the dollar is the world's reserve currency, and that's what a lot of markets look at, right? And that's what kind of moves the market. So if you want to choose a dollar pair, you could do that.
Okay. Okay.
So choose one of those and then work your way up from there.
Break your way up.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, awesome, Keith. Welcome. Glad to have you, man. Glad you're listening in. And you're more than welcome to type in the chat if you're able to, or if you have questions that pop up later on or what have you can drop them into the Facebook group or in the Inner Circle community. So we're welcome to you. We're glad to have you, man. All right, so let's start with the Aussie Swiss. well, let's take a look at the dollar index first before we go there. So on the 4, back, there we go. So that's the 4-hour fib there. We know we had this 80, we had a 382 touch, right? But we weren't able to get to the D extension. We stalled, pushed down to this monthly support level, and we got this reaction here, right? Price started pushing back up to the upside. So we'll see if price continues moving up, or do we get another push down, and are we able to break this monthly level? Okay, so if we break this monthly level, we could see a deeper push. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's what we're going to be looking to see, is if we continue up, or as we move through the night and early in the morning on Friday, to see if this turns over and gives us another push to the downside. Okay, so that's a quick look at the DXY, but that's where we sit. Okay. Oil, I'll take a look at oil real quick since I'm on this side of my all pairs. So on oil, right, we talked about this a little bit ago, back a couple weeks, right? But we have shallow retracement and price pushed down into this 118, 127 zone like we're looking for. Got a nice move to the upside, and then we got a retracement, right? So what that created was this crown pattern that we said we would look to see if we got, right? Took out the previous high, pushed up, came back down to that previous level of support. 4C, your right tip. Took a little bit, had a little consolidation, but now we're starting to completely form that right tip, and we're pushing to the upside, right? So now we're coming back into this level of resistance here, previous weekly level, right? And we got a little bit of indecision as of yesterday, right? But strong push to the upside to give you that C. So if we run a fib here from the low to the high on this harmonic fib, right? We got a 618 retracement off of that level, right? Matching the extensions up here at 105. Now, oil is extremely fundamentally driven, right? So depending on how things continue to move, if things continue to, if capital continues to flow into your commodities, right, you could see oil continue to push to the upside, right? So we'll continue to monitor that to see how that goes. So we'll watch that there and see what occurs. So that's the daily time frame. We drop down to the 4, right? You see that crown pattern a little bit more clearly here. Okay. Pull that out for 1 second. There we go. See that crown pattern form a little bit more clearly, right? And on the 4-hour time frame, you also had shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, right? So it's trying to play out. 382, 50% is in line with the matching D extension of that harmonic fib that we have here. Okay, so if we're able to break above this weekly level, right, we could be in for that ride back to the upside. Okay, so we'll watch that. We'll watch that as price continues to move. Okay, so that's the 4. We drop down to the 1, right? I want to look at things from this perspective. So we have, right, we have our crown pattern there. Okay, but what I want to look at is the formation of the C, right? The deepest point in between your AB boundary is your C. So what we can do to track this to the upside, right, track those waves, is run a fib from that low. Okay, run a fib from that low. So what you have here, if we zoom in, this is your AB boundary starting from your C, moving your way up. So you got a shallow retracement, price pushed into the 118, 127 zone, right? And this support level that we broke through in a pretty bullish fashion here, right, is right at in line with a 50% retracement level. Okay, so what we could be in for is a retracement to come, like so, before we get, whoops, that was about right there. Before we get this move back to the upside. All right, so shallow retracement of 118 to 127, the 80-20 scenario, right? So now we could be in for a deeper retracement here, and then we'll get a move back to the upside. So if you're in this move to the upside, right, could be an opportunity for you to add to your trade, right? If price comes in line there. if price comes in line there. Or if you're not in this, if this level holds, right, could be an opportunity to enter the trade and at least ride it back to the D extension, if not further. Okay. So you guys follow me on this?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool deal. So watch this, right? If you had this on your charts already, you could be playing that back to the downside, right? And if you are, monitor your trade and manage it as it moves down, right? But look for price to come back down here and then see if we get another boost to the upside. Okay. So that is oil. Any questions on oil? No? Cool deal. Benny, good evening, bro.
What's going on, Ryan? Good evening,
Man,
everybody.
not too much, man. Glad to be here. It was another another busy one.
I
Wrap
know
up a pretty busy week, man.
we've been running all week, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good though. It's all worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is. Any thoughts on President Lagarde's conversation or GDP coming in ahead of forecast?
GDP ahead of forecast, right? Supportive for the dollar, but I haven't had time to go through the details, like the breakdown, different sectors for the GDP yet. So that's something I still want to research because that's always important. It's more important than just the overall numbers is where you're seeing it,
Imports
seeing a major
were
impact.
short, but exports were well above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. But on that, as far as the ECB, they softened up a little bit.
It did.
They softened up a little bit because one of the things that she was saying is true. It's kind of just like indicators on your chart, right? A lot of times the impact, you don't see the impact from rate hikes and things like that. It's lagging. So she said one of the things that they want to be careful of is not over tightening too fast because you still may not have seen the impact from the 200 points or whatever they've hiked rates so far.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be too aggressive, but it was a small one in there, right? So I knew today we're going to see it drop off a little bit, the euro, because remember we were talking about, we want to see if she starts talking about quantitative tightening.
Right.
And make that a major point. And she didn't, but she did mention a little bit saying that, could be part of the discussion in December or whatnot, or something like that, she said.
Yeah,
but
at the next meeting, yeah.
Yes, but it wasn't the main point of focus. So I knew I was going to see somewhat of a decline, in that euro as a result of that. So,
yeah. Cool. Yeah, that I was listening for that too. So, and when that came in, I was like, makes sense. So we'll see. We'll see how it moves. I let everybody know I saw a post from Bloomberg, and they were talking about investors, even though GDP came in ahead of forecast, they were still optimistic about the Fed slowing things down a little bit. So we could see some impact tomorrow, or as we go through the beginning of November. They continue to try to bet against the Fed, but it could push the market up temporarily because of their I'll choose extreme optimism are the words that I'll choose.
Yeah, they're looking for everything, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I want to read more details about that GDP report to try to see what they may be seeing, in regards to some things starting to slow down. Maybe there's companies out there reporting, or showing signs that they're starting to tighten their belt a little bit.
So the other part that they did say is you had like Amazon, Google, Facebook, all of them came in well below expectation. And their future forecasting is pretty low, but they did say that there was some investment that did occur. There was a sharp rise in business investment. So That part was interesting to me as well. Seeing that the conversation we had, I think it was early this week, where there's still some money floating around.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's when you really start to hear these central banks talk about quantitative tightening and things like that. And we know that the Fed has started unwinding their balance sheet already, but the impact is going to really come when you start seeing stuff like the Eurozone, the ECB, if they start unwinding their balance sheet. That's what they're doing, right? We talked about it as they're taking liquidity out of the market.
Right.
When they start to do that, by letting bonds and things like that mature that they have on their books. So as a central bank. So when you start that's why I was wanting to listen to that today to see if she started talking about that. Because that's the thing, right? They're just like, well, whatever. Money's more expensive. So what? It's still
Let's
there.
keep pushing.
We're gonna keep pushing and keep investing and playing this game. And like we talked about yesterday, hey, they know, well, last time everything hit the fan, the Fed backed us up. So that you need to see that liquidity start to dry up. That's when you really start seeing the pain. Is when that happens, and companies are really starting to scale back. And investors have become way more cautious. And the sentiment will start to shift. So, not quite there yet, but we shall see.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see, man. We'll see. It'll be an interesting end of the month and interesting start of the month, I think, as well. So cool deal.
It's been a craziest year.
Crazy
of my young trading career. So I think I can't say I've seen it all, but this has been quite the experience. But it's good for the future moving forward. Right? I learned some things. So that's what it's all about.
Learned a ton, and like the amount of things that we've been able to trade through. Normally, you might get one or two major things that happen, but it's been countless things that have been thrown in this year that have definitely made things fun and interesting, right? From an educational and growth perspective. So
yeah. So good deal. I have had my moments of success riding high and moments where you have to laugh to stop from crying.
Yes.
So
yes.
So we shall see. Moving forward, starting with the Bank of Japan. That's tonight, right?
That's tonight. Yep.
Yeah. So who knows what comes to that? I don't expect anything with the rates, but we'll see what happens with their tone.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Appreciate you, bro. Ms. Cassandra, can you speak on trading correlating pairs currently in Aussie dollar, dollar CAD, Euro USD? Wanted the thoughts on if I'm too heavily weighted in dollar pairs. So trading correlating pairs and trading all pairs in one currency are two separate things, because not all of the dollar pairs are strongly correlated. Yes, they move similarly, but the correlation, when you look them up, they're not all at around the same strength, right? So from that perspective, if you want to trade correlating pairs, you do want to take a look at the actual correlation between the DXY and that particular pair, right? And so if you did a chart comparison, let's see. If you do a chart comparison, I'll go to the DXY. And you can just overlay the other chart. That's not what I want. That's not what I want either. Compare. All right. Euro USD. So you can overlay the chart on the screen, right? And here you can see these movements are very, very similar, right? The correlation is very, very high with the Euro USD and the DXY, right? Very similar movements, or I'm sorry, direct opposite movements, right? So technically be a negative correlation, right? They don't move exactly the same. They move in the opposite. But very, very similar, right? You see the formations are very, very alike. So you can go through and look at them from this perspective, or there's some people out there that have done the work to map out what the mathematical correlation is. And you can look at them from that perspective and you can trade them that way. So Euro USD and dollar Swiss are the two dollar pairs that are the most closely correlated to the DXY, right? Dollar Swiss moves almost in a 1-to-1, right? So if we put the dollar Swiss on here, right? You see how close that movement is to being the same, right? So the dollar Swiss and Euro USD are if you wanted to trade correlating pairs with the DXY, right? Those are the two I'd say take a look at and make the moves that way. You can do the research to find out the correlation for the others, but that's how I would look at that. Now, trading all of the pairs within a certain basket, that's where you can get into some tight situations because they all don't move exactly the same, right? So you don't want to be, in my opinion, and Benny, you can give yours also, but I don't think you want to be over-indexed in a particular basket, right? Because if that basket all goes bad, then you're going to be pretty tight, right? So you want to pay attention to that, to just, it's similar to, I think of it similar to your risk management, right? In making sure that you have that risk spread out and not all put into one space. So that's my thought on it, right? So I would encourage you to do the work and do the exploration to find out what the correlations actually are, and then trade the ones that are the most closely correlated, right? And not just trading the whole basket, because that can put you in some tight situations. Benny, what are your thoughts, bro? Still on mute if you're talking.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
I was on mute. So my thing is, like, can you hear me?
Yeah, breaking up a little bit, but we can hear you.
Hold on, let me move a little bit. Hold on. So the way I look at it is too, like you said, the key is risk management, right? So I've learned this over time is if it's in my zone, I trade it regardless, right? So it has to be in my zone. Now, with the pairs, say all your whole dollar basket, it's rare that all of them will line up in the zones at the exact same time. You know, so I tend to stay away from just by default over indexing on it. But at the end of the day, even if I was, it comes down to risk management, right? And staying in the game. Because say I got in all of them and I lost all 5 of them. Well, if I know over 100 trades, my strike rate is 60%, it's all part of the game.
True.
You know, is all part of the game. But it's rare where everything lines up like that.
Agreed.
You know, but like I said, if it does, you just make sure your risk management is on point. But that's me though, right? You know that, right? I like to keep it so simple because when I hate to overthink and hesitate on pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
So I'm making sure that my risk management is good. And if it does end up and I look at it like, oh man, I'm just about it in every, you know, I got the whole dollar basket active, then if it all goes bad, it's all part of it anyway. Because I know at the end of the day, my strike rate is gonna be what it is. You know, so I might lose 5 in a row, but over time I know that's gonna play out. So that's just another perspective on it. And that's just me because I just like to keep stuff simple and roll, you
Yeah.
know. But I do understand, being over indexed on one currency pair, especially if you're over leveraged. I think that's the main thing.
You're right.
Because you can't handle, your account can't handle the losses like that. So that's like I said, different perspective on it. And it really just comes down to the person and their trade psychology. So
yeah, for sure. No, and I do agree with you on that. Right.
Yeah.
If it's in your zone, trade it, right? For sure. And then, just keeping things simple. So I agree with that.
But I noticed when back in the day, I noticed when I'm like pressing, like, man, I am over indexed. A lot of times when I look back at it, it really got me all emotional because I was over leveraged.
Mm-hmm.
I was over leveraged, and it's like I took too big of a hit. So I blamed it on being super over indexed, but it's really because I was over leveraged.
That's true. That's very true. When I think about it, you're 100% correct in that.
Yeah. So
100% correct in that.
Great discussion.
Yeah. Thank you both. What made me think about that was that, when I first started with the inner circle, I was getting kind of, you're trying to learn the strategy, you're looking at all the different pairs. So I said, okay, why don't I first focus in on USD and yen pairs? And then today, with being in 3 USD pairs, I said, am I, that's what brought about the thought on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely a great thought, right? And you're exploring, right? You're trying to figure it out, and that's what you should be doing, right? So,
right.
Yeah. And you know what really helped me with the process, Ryan? Like, I always try to relate trading to sports, right? And it's like high school, college, you play against different teams, and I'm looking at the defense across from me, and it gets to the point where on defense, say they're running, right, for people who know sports and football, they're running a cover 2, which is a certain coverage that the defense plays. It didn't matter what jersey color, you know what I mean? It didn't matter if I see that corner sitting flat, playing a hard corner, 5 yards off, playing a hard corner, and I'm looking at the safety alignment, it's a cover 2.
It's a cover 2.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it was Pitt, West Virginia, Ohio State, doesn't matter. Like if I see that, that's what it is. And so that's kind of like my approach to trading. Same thing. If I see it, and this is what I have to do.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah, no matter what the pair, right?
No matter the pair. I appreciate that. That was actually really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Like I said, great discussion because it matters. And a lot of people are thinking the same thing. So we appreciate you asking the questions.
Yeah. Sweet. Appreciate that. Appreciate the question, bro. Appreciate your insight on that too, man. All right. So let's slide over to this Aussie Swiss. All right, so check it, right? Daily time frame. AB boundary pushed right into that 382 level. Boom, right? That's hit. Take that out. Now we want to see, right? Nice move to the upside, how the market responds here. Okay. We got to 382. We got a daily resistance level up here at 64,782, right? Do we get a pullback and then another push to the upside to get to that daily level, right? We got to watch and see what happens there. Okay. As we move down through the time frames on the 4, right? You're sitting at a 618 resistance, 618 retracement level. Okay. That's that 382, which is in line with that 618 retracement level, right? So you got some confluence there on those 2 levels. Now, We want to see what happens, right? So what Benny said, right? If it meets your rules, trade it. So if you trade off the 4 hour and look for a 618 retracement, right? Does this meet your rules, right? Have your rules been met yet? Okay, if you use a trend line, drop your trend line on, bang, right? Enter trend line to the upside, like so. Okay. Haven't gotten a trend line break yet off the 4. Right? We're hovering, pushing sideways right now, right? That's just a push sideways. We'll shift it to the outermost point like that. Still pushing sideways. So if you get a trend line break, nice bearish candle, right? That could be an entry opportunity for you. 618 retracement, right? Maybe we don't get to that 64,782 level, right? But if you trade following the rules, place your stop outside the A, right? You give that trade room to float, right? So even if it does press into that 618 level, right? If your rules are met and you take your entry there, right? Take your entry there, place your stop outside the A. This is why we teach it this way, right? So if this meets your rules and you get a trend line break on the lower time frame, you enter, boom, right? And then market pushes back up one more time, right? Yeah, you'll be in a little bit of drawdown, but as long as your risk management is intact, that's okay, right? Pushes up to that daily level, right? Now could be a scenario if you manage your risk appropriately, you could add a second trade at the 786 level. So now you have 2 trades in this situation. Maybe this is 0.5%. Maybe you do another 0.5% here, right? To get you to that 1% at risk. So now if we do push up to that daily level, right? And we do get price to turn over, start making these lower highs and lower lows, right? Now, as the market moves in your favor, you got those 2 positions running, right? So maybe do it like that. But if your rules are met and you say, I take the trade at a 618 retracement level and I place my stop outside the A, does this meet your rules, right? So you got a nice retracement here, okay? So now we want to see, does price fully turn over and does price start making its way back down to the downside? Or do we get one more push to the upside before we turn over and press down? Okay. But as long as it stays inside the A, as long as it doesn't take out the A, has no choice but to go your way. All right. So that's what we're looking for, to see if the 618 level is the deepest retracement, or do we push higher and get to that daily resistance level? Okay. So that's the 4. Now, come down to the 1. And this is what we're looking at, right? So on the 1 hour time frame, we got a 50% retracement. Okay. We pushed up, we're stalling at this daily 382, right? With 1 hour D extension sitting here at 64384. Okay. So this says there still is the potential for another push to the upside. Okay. Hit the D extension on the 1 hour time frame. And then if that occurs, if price does turn over, take out that high to get to that D extension, we could then head to that level, right? So what I'd be looking for here, right, is this either trend line break, like so, bangs, sideways push, right? So we run our trend line to the outermost point in that scenario. I need a trend line break, strong bearish candle. Okay. Strong bearish candle to the downside, entry opportunity for me, right? If this trend line holds and we get a push to the upside, cool. We'll let it run as high as it wants to run. And then we'll wait to see if our rules get met once we get to that daily resistance level. Okay. That's one way. The other way is you can use your cloud, right? Do you get a cloud break? Do you get a cloud break with all the confirmations? Right? So you can use either one of those, right? Or whatever other confirmation technique you have in your rules. Once it gets met, take the trade. Right? If you traded off the 4, off that 4 hour fib, you're at a 618 retracement level. Are your rules met to take the trade? Yes or no? If not, sit tight and allow the market to do what it's going to do until your rules are met. On the 1 hour time frame, we haven't hit that D extension yet. We want to see that D extension hit. We'll see if that occurs, but we know the higher time frame controls the lower time frame. So if price turns over, then we'll see price start to break down. Okay. So, but that's what I'm looking for here on this Aussie Swiss is, do we get that to occur? Okay. Questions here? Did all of that make sense? Okay. All right. So that's the Aussie Swiss. It's only Aussie pair. Take a look at the euro dollar. Euro dollar. So come here to the daily, right? We got a 382 retracement level already off the AB boundary. Price pushed down. We broke above this daily level, but with that news and the press conference, we pressed back below this daily level. Okay. So the question is simply, do we stay below this level? Right? Or do we break back above and continue pressing higher? Okay. That's the question. If price retests this daily level and stays below, we could be looking for price to continue to the downside, right? We saw where the DXY is, still hovering around that level. We'll see if we're able to get another push to the downside, or if price stays above that level and the DXY continues to press to the upside, right? Then you'll see this continue to press to the downside. Okay. So that's what I'm watching here. This is the daily level, daily resistance here. We broke it, came back to it, so we're still hovering in the zone. We break back above and continue higher. I'm looking for price to come here to this 101.979 and give us a double top look here, right? Benny mentioned this about a week or so ago. All right, so if we drop down to the 4, again, right? You got a 618 retracement now, right? Price pushed into that 618 retracement level. If you took the trade at that level, right, you're already in profit a little bit, right? On the 4 hour, we broke below. Do we get a break and a retest? And does price hold, right? Does price hold? Again, if it breaks back above, we'll watch this 101 level. But if it stays below, we'll look for it to continue down, okay? Again, if your stop is outside the A, you give that trade some room to breathe, allow it to do its thing. So if it does push back up to that level, you're still good. You're still good, right? So that's what I'm looking for here is, do we stay below this level to then continue down, right? If we break back above, I'm looking at this zone, okay? Another level of confluence you can add to this is run your fib off the low, right? This fib is completed. You got a 8.6 retracement level here, right? Price pushed up to the 8.6 extension level. Bang, so that fib is done, right? So that says, all right, this could be finishing out. So we'll see if we get that follow through and continue to the downside. Okay. So that's a little confluence there off the 4. Drop to the 1. So let's walk back, right? So we got shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, price turned over, pressed down, 80-20 scenario, right? Bang. So nice retracement back to a daily resistance level. On your 4 hour time frame, price pushed up to a 618 retracement level. On your 1 hour time frame, you got an 80-20 scenario. 4 hour 618, daily resistance, 1 hour 80-20. It's a lot of confluence there. And your sub fib on the 1 hour time frame also completed with the 118 extension level. Got a lot of confluence here that says, hey, this could be our time to turn over, right? So that's what you got. So now again, we'll monitor to see if we stay below that level, or we could what we could also see here on the 1 hour time frame is a potential crown reversal action, right? Took out that previous low. If we do come up above that level, stay below the high, right? We could see something like that occur. Okay. So we'll watch that closely to see how the market responds here. Even if it stalls at this daily level, right, and gives us a shallow retracement here, right, still will be a crown, it'd be a shallow crown pattern, and look for price to push down. Okay. So this daily level is what I'm watching to see if we get that retest and if price holds there. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for. If price holds, we'll see this continue to break down and finish out that 80-20 scenario there. Similar action. You guys follow me there? All right. So looking for a continuation to the downside potentially.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So that's Euro USD. Any questions there? It's right in line, right? Just ran the sub fib off the high. 618 retracement is right in line with your left tip, right? So if you get that nice pullback to a 618 level, could be ideal for us to turn back over. Okay. Cool deal. Euro USD. Ultimately looking for price to continue to the downside. Just a matter of, is it now or is it later? Okay. Sweet. Let's take a look at some of these pound pairs.
Hey, Ryan.
Sir, what's up? Oh, yeah. Hello?
Hold on, got that again. But when you get a chance, can you check the Euro US? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, all right. Sorry about that. If you could check, have you looked at the Euro USD or not?
Just looked at the Euro USD.
Okay. I was breaking up, so okay, good deal. I just wanted to make sure that we went over it.
What were we looking at there?
Just on the 5, I'm going in and out, so I'm in my basement.
I actually just pulled that back up because I did forget that.
Okay.
I did forget that on the 5. Were you looking at it on the up fib or the sub fibs to the downside?
The sub fib, we were going over this morning with the new AB boundary and talking about the different zones to trade. So how you just had it was right.
No, like so.
Yeah, with the AB boundary. So this morning when we went over, we were going over zones that we trade. It was just really at that AB boundary. You can see how it turned over 120 pips to the downside already.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This was a
so my
boost.
bad. My signal is all messed up. So
all good.
Didn't mean to double back on you.
Appreciate you. I meant to come back to this 5 though, because this does give us an interesting scenario here on the 5, right? But it kind of plays into that retracement that I was talking about off that 1 hour time frame. So if you run your fibs here off the low, right? Off the low, you got your AB boundary here. This is what Benny was looking at this morning, right? This AB boundary, looking for that opportunity to play it back down to the downside. Beautiful move, 120-ish pips back down to the downside. Great move, right? So now, question is, like we just talked about, right? Do we, let me take these out for a second, right? Do we get this to push back to the upside, right? Get to the matching D extension off of this, get a 786 off of this, 99575. Just shy. So 786 retracement, matching D extension is 101.231, right? So do we get price to push back up here, right? Get to matching D extension, or do we get that pullback that we looked at off the 1 hour time frame, right? Back into this zone off the sub fib, right? So your smaller waves here, we're talking about those different the different zones we trade, right? So price pushed back down into our sweet spot here, right? 618 or deeper, right? And also on the sub fibs to the downside, right? If I pull these out, you can see this clearly. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's see.
Probably gonna have to reset your chart because you went back, hit the back.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's do this. There we go. All right. So clear that out. These are your sub fibs coming to the downside, right? You see prices already on the move back to the upside. Right? Already on the move back to the upside. Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. You got a sideways push. Now this is your retracement, right? So the question is, do we get a nice deep retracement here back into our zone, right? In line with that potential crown pattern. And then do we get price to turn back over and press down, right? But those zones that Ben was talking about, here's one of those zones that we trade. So if you trade these 5-minute setups, this would have been an ideal setup for you. Shallow retracement, 118, 127. And now you got price pushing. All right.
That's amazing how that just plays out over and over again.
Over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. All right. So that's it. This one's on the move, right? So we'll see how it responds here at this daily level. And then as we get to the 618, 786 level here on this 5-minute fib, we'll see if price holds up or do we break it and continue to push higher. Okay. You guys see that? Questions on that 5-minute, on the 5-minute setup, 5-minute scenario? Anybody take that move this morning to the downside?
I did.
Great job.
Mary.
Great job. Great job. All right. So cool deal. So that was awesome. So now we're looking to see how we respond. Do we continue to the downside, right? Or do we have another push to the upside in us before we then continue to the downside? Okay. So that's it there. Let's take a look at the pounds. Brandy, did you have any pound pair in particular that you were looking at?
GBP CAD.
Pound CAD? Yeah. Let's look at it. Daily time frame. Shallow retracement, 118 level, right? Price pressed back down into the zone. Okay, not able to break above that weekly level, close back below that daily level, right? Now we're getting some indecision. So do we get price to continue to break down, move back down at least to this daily level, potentially lower? Okay, that's the daily look. On the 4, you got a 382 retracement, but price stalled here, couldn't break through, right? So if we're able to stay below this daily level, right, we could continue to break down and get lower highs and lower lows, right? Potentially come back down to that level, give you a double bottom scenario, right? If we don't break it, okay? We took out the A on this down fib on the 4, okay? So this is our capital fib now, right? Generally, and we'll watch this to see, but a lot of times what happens is once you get that A taken out, you get a nice deep correction. So we'll see if that occurs here. Okay. When we drop to the 1, similar to that 4, right? It's pretty choppy. You got that 382, right? But not able to break above. So the thing that I'm looking for here, just as extra points of confirmation, is do we break through the cloud, right? If we break through the cloud, then I'll look to enter this and play it to the downside, right? Back to that daily support level, which is 521 pips on the bottom of the cloud here. I'll look for that if we get all the confirmations there. But higher time frames control the lower time frame. So we could, that daily 80-20 scenario could definitely play out in our favor. Okay. We stayed below both of those levels and we're trying to continue to push lower. Right. So definitely looking for that to continue to the downside. The confirmations that I personally need aren't met, but if your rules get met here, take the trade, right? It's a beautiful setup off the daily time frame, right? Like I said, even if you get back down to that level, that's 500 pips, right? You got another daily support right here. Add that in. We'll drop it down, right? So we got another daily level there. But even if you get back down to that daily level, still looking at 300 pips back to that level, right? And then 500, almost 600 to the next daily level. Okay, so it's an opportunity for sure. Opportunity for sure, right? It's just a matter of, do we get our confirmations here, right, to enter that trade and make that move down. Okay, but definitely an opportunity there after higher time frames for sure. Questions on this pound CAD?
So at this point, there would be no entry because price is entering the cloud, right here on the 1 hour.
For me, yeah. For me, I'm waiting on that cloud break, right? So if you use the cloud, and yeah, you want to wait on those confirmations, right? If you don't use the
I'm
cloud,
using the cloud. Yeah.
okay, yeah, definitely wait on those confirmations then, right? Now, if you trade off the 15, you got your break, right? You'd be in and already to the downside there, okay? So, right, you'd be in and already to the downside if you trade off the 15. If you're trading off the 1, right? Give yourself a little bit of patience and let that thing break, right? For those that use trend lines, look for the trend line break. Oh, shoot, whoops. Looking for the trend line break. Still sitting tight. All right, still sitting tight. Okay. There's your trend line. Okay, so that's the pound CAD. Good eyes there. Good eyes there. All right, be patient and let it meet your rules. Let it meet your rules. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Dollar Swiss. Haven't traded this one much recently. Let's see what we got. Boom. Let's see. Bring it up a little bit. Come back to the daily. Resistance level there. Take that out. Support, support, support. There we go. All right, so daily time frame, right? Pulling back. Pulling back. Trend line to the upside, bang, right? We had this beautiful head and shoulders pattern here that played out beautifully to the upside, right? So if we run our fib there, just shy of a 786, so we got a 618 retracement. Matching the extension is here at 101, right? So pulling back now, see if we come back to this daily support level and then get another push to the upside to get to that 101, 779 level, okay? But 618 retracement off of the harmonic fib there, okay? That's that. But overall, right, 618 retracement. Is anybody still in this off of this 618 retracement off that daily time frame that Benny broke down for us back in August? No, nobody. Cool deal. Cool deal. Yeah. Me either. I should be. Benny talks about all the time those trades that you look back at and you're like, why did I get out of that? Right? This is one of those for me, right? I shouldn't have closed my position, and I did, right? I wasn't looking at the bigger picture, right? I was too caught up inside the frame and a pullback. I ended up taking profit on, right? Still made money, but right, still could be in this to the upside. So that's your 4, right? That's your 4. We're pulling back below those levels. So we could come back to this daily level, 977. We'll see if that happens, right? So we drop to the 4. Zoom in. Back to the 4. Come back.
Right, and that's because we see that blue and we're like, give me my money
Man.
now.
Yep. Yep. Exactly, Doug. Exactly, man. I want it's my money and I want it now. You know what he said?
Yep. You're like, I've been bleeding for 4 trades in a row. Give me my money.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So this is where we sit, man. So couldn't fully break out to the upside to get to the D extension. We're pulling back now, sitting at a 618 retracement level, right? Does the 618 retracement level hold, or do we have another push to the downside in us to get down to this 86 retracement level? Okay. So that's where we are. That's where we are. So you can, when we get out to the 1 hour time frame, right? You can run your trend line to the downside, right? You see you came into that trend line and you rejected off. Okay. Beautiful retracement. So now at what point do we turn back over and press to the upside? Okay. So that's the 4. Drop to the 1. And let's see, I believe we flipped the fibs on this one, but let's check it out. Oh, nope, still inside, right? So even on your 1, right? Sitting at a 618 retracement level, okay? Rejecting off your trend line, right? So do we stay below the trend line and press down to this daily support level, right? If we do, we'll watch to see if that daily support level holds and see if we get that push off back to the upside, okay? Yeah, that's true. That's true, Donna. So we'll see, right? We'll see if the dollar does give us another push to the downside, right? We could see this push to the downside in similar fashion, okay? So we'll watch it to see if the 618 level holds or if we get down to that daily level, right? I would love to see one more push to the downside, right? Get to that daily level and to hold it, and then give us a nice push, okay? That's what I'd love to see. So I'm sitting and waiting to see if we get one more push to the downside. We'll see how the day goes tomorrow with the dollar. Okay. But that's where we sit right now. That's where we sit right now. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Trying to get some bearish action. We'll see if that follows through. Okay. We'll see if that follows through. All right. But that's where we sit. Nice deep retracement. If it meets your rules, take the trade. If it meets the rules, take the trade. Okay. So that's where we are. Questions on dollar Swiss. No.
Ryan, I have a question, but not actually about the pair. You mentioned was someone in the trade from when Benny, when you guys went over in August.
Mm-hmm.
So how long can you actually hold a trade?
As long as you want.
Without any penalties or any kind of?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you had to get out of them within a certain amount of time. For some reason, I don't know where I got that from. Thank you.
That could be on your if you trade options, some brokers have options, and so if you're in a some of the prop firms don't allow you to trade over the weekend. But no, you don't have to close your trades over the weekend. You have a lot of people that tell you don't trade on the weekend or don't hold trades over the weekend, but a lot of that goes back to risk management and understanding the wave sequence. So yeah, you can hold the trades as long as you allow yourself to, right?
Right.
It's moving in your favor.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Thank you. That's
So,
good.
and that's how you'll see a lot of times, you know, Benny will break down a scenario off the daily time frame or even off the weekly time frame sometimes, right? And you'll see it playing out over time, right? Like this crown pattern, for instance. I mean, this head and shoulders pattern, right? We talked about it back here, right? We saw that push to the upside, came back down. Benny said, hey, look out for this move back to the upside. And right, that occurred September 12th, and that move there, right? Benny also said, hey, this is coming into a 618 retracement, right? Look for a buying opportunity in August, right? So that was that move. Here was a secondary opportunity to either add to the trade or take a new position. And it's playing out exactly as anticipated based off of the wave sequence, right? And
Wow.
the way we teach it, right? So that's the power of the Fibonacci sequence and understanding the wave sequence and how the market moves, right? That's what makes it so powerful. And that's why we say you can do this on any time frame, right? On any time frame.
Wow.
So,
I can't wait to get better at this. That is so cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. One step at a time. You got it. You're making the progress, right? One step at a time. One step at a time. You'll get there. You'll get there, right? We're still working too. We're still working too. It's about the progress. About the progress. Okay. So cool deal. No questions there. CAD yen. In fact, let's take a look. Did that come out yet? Nope, not yet. Still waiting. Okay. CAD yen. On a weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. Shallow retracement at 118 to 127 zone, right? We got a double top scenario, got indecision here, right? Still above that previous monthly level, right? But below the weekly level in this range. So we want to see, do we at some point break back below this 107, 658, right? Are we able to break back below and continue this move to the downside, potentially at some point, complete this 80-20 scenario, okay? Drop to the daily time frame. We already got a 382, but we got a double top here, right? Swing high there, confirm that resistance level. Now we're pressing down, getting a little pullback action here. Okay. So we want to see, are we able to stay below this weekly level at 110,458? Okay. The yens are always back and forth, and they haven't changed their monetary policy stance. So lean towards, right, yen weakness, right? And currencies continue to run on the yen until it tells us something different, right? We'll get to the 4. You got a 50% retracement off this spike, came back down to reconfirm that 50% retracement, and we pushed back above that monthly level, okay? Matching D extension is here at 111,306. So if we do get this continuation to the upside in favor of the CAD, right, we'll have to break through these levels. Okay, we'll have to break through those levels. So we'll see that one. Yeah, just the one level. So we'll see if we're able to get back up, right, and push above. Yeah, okay. We'll see what happens. If we get a triple top in this scenario, right, price push back up, not able to break through, or is this just a pullback for a continuation lower? We have to wait and see, right? I'm sitting on the sidelines on these yen crosses because these spikes have just been all over. We got intervention that happens, that's happened multiple times, but we still got the Bank of Japan holding their stance. So we could see these continue to push to the upside, just as long as it's not too sharp of a movement for the Bank of Japan. Okay, we get down to the 1. Ran the fib off the high here. You got a 618 retracement. Price tried to make its way to the downside, but wasn't able to break out. So we're in this range. Okay, bottom of the range. See if we get back to the top of the range. Right. So this one's just back and forth, no direction, in my opinion. So I'm just sitting out, seeing what it does and just watching the movement. Right. We get back to these higher levels. And we'll see if we stay below this 110. If we get there, retest it, stay below, right? I might trade it back to the bottom of that range, but we'll see when we get there, right? So a bunch of nothing right now on the CAD yen, in my opinion. Questions? No? Okay. Cool deal. Any questions about anything before we wrap it up for the evening and for the week? Benny, any final thoughts, bro? Wrap this thing up for the week, man.
Awesome session, man. Lots of great questions. Lots of good participation. That's what it's all about. That's how you learn. That's what we did. Get on with your mentors, join the live sessions, watch the trainings, have your questions ready. That's how you get better. That's how you compress time frames and shorten your learning curve.
That's it. All right. Appreciate it. You guys have an awesome evening, awesome morning if it's early for you, and an awesome Friday, right? We'll be back at it Saturday morning for the weekly ritual. Have an awesome one, guys. We'll catch you later. Peace.